All right, so today I want to talk about some timing code for the puzzle, the word search that you're building for your final. And so I've written some code for you, and then we'll time creating this PDF that I have. All right, so this is what I did before, and we required the prawn, and this is the document generate. So this is what you would have, and you can build strings in here and circles and everything you want to draw your puzzle. And if you do it right, you really only have to print the entire array in here. So you can do a draw text of the entire double array right here, and you don't have to position every character. It will do the carriage returns and everything for you. So we'll do that at the end as well. So to time this, we want to run this code some number of times. And the reason we do that is because sometimes it's going to take longer and sometimes it's going to take shorter. So if we really want to get an average, we need to run it 10 or 100 times to really see, because in your puzzle, for instance, it's going to be randomly placing these words. Sometimes it's not going to find a place for the word for 100 different turns or something. So it might take a lot longer on one iteration. So for timing to be faster than me, we have to do some kind of an average of that. So I wrote a method here that takes how many times I want to run the particular code that I'm interested in. And just like our DVD program, I use the time.now. So I store the time at the start. And at the end, I subtract the time at the end of the code and subtract the start time. And then to get an average, I divide that by the number of times I ran the code. All right, so that gives me the average time it took to run the code that I'm interested in. So to do that, I want to do a loop here for the number of times that gets passed in. So if I pass in 100 here, I'm going to do this loop 100 times. All right? So what's nice about Ruby is these blocks. I can do end, and I can do anything inside of this, right? If this wasn't here, I could do some putses and whatever, right? And it would do it 100 times. Inside a method is okay. Inside a class is not. All right? So the if I use the yield command, and this is used heavily in Rails, what that does is it runs the code that gets passed to my timeIt method as a block. All right? So a block is, I can do this, something like this. I run my timeIt method, and I call it, let's run it 1,000 times, and I can pass it a block of code. I can run my own little timeIt. I got to spell timeIt right. And this says run the lines of code in here. This gets passed in. Whatever I type in here, I could have a whole program inside of here. That gets run every time this yield command gets executed. Okay, so whatever code here, gets executed when the yield runs. Okay, so the yield says yield and run the code that's inside your block. And so this is going to run a loop. Every time it hits the yield, it's going to come down here and run this code, all of the lines of code. Then it's going to, when this code ends, it's going to come back up here and yield again, run the code again. And so it's just going to run whatever code I put inside this block is going to be executed that many times. So I can say something like puts, you can't do that, Dave. And let's comment this out. All right. No, you want to see 1,000. All right, we'll do 10. So what will this print out? 10 times. It's going to run this puts line is going to be executed every time this yield gets executed. Okay? So it's a little bit backwards, but this entire block of code gets shoved into this yield. This yield says run this block of code. All right? So if I run this, and I'll get the time as well. So I get, you can't do that, Dave, and my average for doing that puts was 0 seconds because it was so fast. Right? If I don't do the average, let's not do the average and see how long it takes to do it 10 times. It takes 0.001 seconds to do 10 times. Let's do it 1,000. All right. Even 10,000 times to print this to the screen still took 0.077 seconds. Very small amount of time, right? So I can put any code I want inside of this time it block and execute that. All right. So let's leave it back to that. Let's take it down to 100, and let's run my PDF generator code 100 times. All right, so let's surround this entire block. All right, so now reformat my code. So that moves it in. So this block of code, all of this code, will be executed 100 times. And then that average will be printed out at the end. So this is going to generate 100 PDF documents using the same name. So it's just going to keep writing over the same file name, right? So this takes a little longer, so we should actually see something run here. All right, still, 100 PDF documents took less than a second for each one. This is an average, right? So 0.01 seconds to create this entire PDF. Pretty fast, right? Yes. So the code that I want you to put in here is not the printing of the PDF. The code I want you to do is the solving of the puzzle. You don't have to put in the generation of the PDF as well, even though it's pretty fast. My timing, when I ran this, shows just the generation of the puzzle. All right, that's the time-consuming piece. So when I have the code, pardon me? Oh, yeah. Yep, I haven't optimized mine very much, so if I run my puzzle.rb, and I do a 45, and for timing, let's do it 100 times. And it took an average of 0.009 seconds to execute my puzzle creation. Okay, so it ran 100 times, it generated the puzzle, but what I'm timing is not the generation of the PDF, just the creation of the puzzle. So if you want the extra credit, you'll have to have some type of interface like this. Ask me the size of it, the file name, and how many times to run for timing. And you can use my code directly here, this time it code that I have. Does that make sense? Isn't that cool? So mine is pretty fast, 0.009, but I have had people beat that, so it is possible. But don't worry about timing until you get it working, right? You want it to work first. Now, if I run this and I make the size smaller, like 25, it takes a lot longer to figure out where to place words. And so my average is probably going to go up into the, well, still 0.03 seconds. Not too bad. If I do a 20 by 20, and this is what I'll do. I'll run your puzzle in different sizes to see the timing.
Wouldn't the time be different if, like, if you did it for 45, a bunch of different other times, would some of the average be vary just a little bit?
Yeah, it's going to vary a little bit, sure.
But
That's why I average it. So over 100 times, you're going to randomly generate 100 different puzzles, and
I mean,
it's pretty
if you did
close.
another 100 times,
It would be different.
So accurate, so close.
It would be, yeah, it's microseconds difference. So this one takes a lot longer. Yeah. And if it's close, I'll give you the credit. But if you're seconds and I'm microseconds, you didn't beat me. But so don't worry about this. This is only for people that have finished it like by Friday, or something. Finish it first, and then work on this if you want. So that one took the longest. So I have almost a second for each of these at a 20 by 20. Well, because I ran it 100 times. I ran it 100 times. It generated 100 puzzles. So if I look at my PDF, this is a 20 by 20 with all 45 words, and look at how many blank spaces there are. Almost nothing. So it really has a trouble trying to fit all this word in here, all these words in here. Yeah, this is probably easier. This is nectarine. This is kiwi. If there's a letter in here, it's worth something. Apricot. Fig is going down here. Clementine going up here. Jackfruit. I have no idea. I've never had it. I have no idea. So there you go. Any questions on the timing? I gave it to you. There's your code right there. They're so close at that point. I mean, if you're even close to me, I'll give you the credit. It's not a big deal. So, all right. Doug beat me, for instance, in the puzzle timing. Pardon me? How many lines is my word search? Sure, let me show it to you.
Would it even make sense to us?
Yeah, let's put it over here so it won't record. And let's look at... That's right. So, including the timing and the generation, I have 163 lines of code. Okay? Yeah, I'll put that right over there so you can just copy it and paste it. All right, so let's play with the generation here a little bit, and instead of doing all of this, let's take out a bunch of code and show you what you should actually be doing here. And again, this wouldn't be in the time it code. What I want you to time is the puzzle generation. So your code is going to create a new puzzle. You're going to print the key. You're going to list the words out. You're going to print the puzzle itself. and you're going to print the words again, right? So you're going to print those 2 pages or generate those strings for those 2 pages. And then your PDF will print those out to the PDF. So that's all I want you to time is the creation of the puzzle and then generating the different strings. Yes. Yeah, that would be easier if it was in a separate file. Mine is not, so that includes my main program. So, yeah, and the time and code. So this is my actual class is 124 lines. Oh, you're seeing that, aren't you? But it's not recording, so that's good. You can't have that. You can't have that. I can't believe that I showed that to you. That's terrible.
That's right.
Nobody was filming, right?
Unfortunately, no.
All right, so let's play with, I might have to edit that video. Let's play with creating some strings. And what was the code to print an array, for instance? So let's go look at my double array code. And I've got my cells up here, and I've got my method to print the array. So let's put that in here. And inside of here, I don't have to, if I make my print double not actually print to the screen, which is another reason why you don't use puts in a class. Mine's not in a class, but I want to return this string instead of printing it to the screen, because I'm going to be printing it to the PDF instead, right? So how would I modify my print double here to return a string instead?
Return instead of puts.
Okay, if I put a return here, what's that going to do?
It's going to quit.
It's going to quit right away, right?
It's going to be inside of the class. You're going to have
No.
Return string plus equals.
All right, I need a string to store it in, right? So I call my ret string, you call it whatever you want. And instead of putsing it out, I'm going to add it to my ret string every time, right? I start with an empty string, add a row every time to my ret string, and my puts is actually printing an empty line, right? So I need to add that. How do I print an empty line in a string? Very good. And what was this before? Was this a puts? All right, so I also need to add a carriage return at the end of that. Then at the end, I'm going to return my ret string. Now, if I just call that, how do I call my print double method here? And then the name of my array is cells. All right, now what will that do? All right, good. Because print double returns what? A string. So I need to, if I want to print that to the screen, I'm going to call that. All right, so let's just run this and see if it works. So I'm printing to the screen, that working fine. So now let's modify and print it to the PDF instead. So I need to do the same thing. I need to open up a document. We'll call this cells just to be different. And I need to set my font and my sizes and things like that you can do. And now the draw text here, I'm just going to replace this with what? My ret string is local to inside of my print double.
that line right there, besides the puts.
Without the puts, right? I'm going to do this. So print double creates a string and returns that string. So that string gets replaced by this. So that should be it. Let's run this guy. And it printed out 100 times. It printed out the same PDF. And I synchronize it over here. And it should show me my cells.pdf here eventually. Oh, I did that was an undo. This is the one here. All right, so let's open my PDF. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's way up here at the top. So that's no good. So we have something wrong here. Let's put this. Yeah, let's move down a little bit so I'm on the screen. Move down, I think it was. Let's go look at my PDF guys here. No, it does. It should not, actually. Should not. All right, so let's do that. I don't have a Z. It's 25 by 25. There's 26 characters in the letters. Yeah, it is, right? It's supposed to line up. Why didn't it? It failed miserably, right? So
The lines don't work in the PDF? Before you get the PDF? Draw on a separate line.
Maybe you gotta do double end. Remember the double end was broken.
yeah, I know. It broke.
Yeah, try to put another slash n in there. Or slash r. Just see what it does.
Let's change this and show you some other. Oh, I don't want to use the draw text method. I want to use the text method. Text. And then I can add a parameter to align it to the center, which is what I do in my puzzle. So let's run that guy. That worked a lot better. See, isn't that great?
Don't you just say when it's the same exact color as we used before, but it's not working?
Center. Oh, center has to be a symbol. There we go. All right. Now we'll look at it. Now we got it. That's better. Yes. Mucho better. So you have to use the text method, not the draw text, and it will interpret the character returns for you and print them, drop them down. So I don't have to know where I am in the Y position. That makes it a lot easier to deal with.
You said margin for a second.
Yeah. And then if I want to print a new page, you can do all this using Google, but I'll give you some of these commands. I can print a new page. That's a start a new page inside of this generate. And then I can, actually, I have to do it pdf.startup, new page. And then let's draw it again. Let's not use the move down. Let's just print it on the new page and see what I get. Permission denied. So you will get this a lot, and it's because you still have your puzzle open. So close that before you run this again. So now if I look at my cells, I have page 1 and page 2. So that's the difference. It already has a margin using the text method anyway. So I don't have to move down if I don't want to. Okay? Then we have, you can do other things like I can set the size of my font. And I can do a title. And I can align that in the center as well. And then I want to be careful to change my font back again to a smaller version. Let's do a size of 14, something like that, so that my letters are smaller. So let's run this guy. Still open, thank you. You've run into that, I can tell. All right, so there.
I always close my stuff when I'm done with it.
Oh, good. So there, now my puzzle is in a smaller text than my word search here. Isn't that cool? So lots of stuff you can do to make it look better. And that's all, if you look up the prawn documentation, that tells you all kinds of stuff for that. Do you remember that, Eric? Yeah, you did that. Did you beat me in the timing?
I don't know.
You don't remember? I don't remember.
It was like half a second.
Yeah, they're really small times. All right, any questions on printing or timing or anything else that we did here?
How do you open the PDF? Like, how are you opening it to show that view?
I just double click on it. It's just it's Adobe. You have to have Adobe Reader installed, but it's just a PDF. So it's a real
Automatically update or changes it as you're doing.
Yeah, I'm overwriting that file. I'm rewriting it. This creates the file and overwrites it at the same time, which is redundant, but that's what it does. All right. Any other questions? Nope, we're done.